The man slowly removes the bandages from his head. When his girlfriend sees that his head is completely empty, she thinks she's seeing a ghost and faints on the spot. When Alice wakes up, Nick tells her the truth. At this point, Alice is no longer afraid. Instead, she becomes curious about Nick. She boldly steps forward to touch him, and their relationship grows even closer. One day, George accidentally hears Nick's voice. Combined with signs that someone has recently been staying in the villa, George figures out that Nick is hiding there. Before leaving, George decides to let the two of them stay in the villa. To make it easier for Nick to go out, Alice paints a human face for him, allowing them to appear in public like a normal couple. However, Nick often smudges the painted face while eating. Eventually, an accident happens. George unintentionally exposes Nick's whereabouts. Martin arrives with a large team to capture him. Fortunately, the two are not staying in the villa, but in a small house at the foot of the mountain. Seeing that Martin keeps relentlessly tracking them, Nick decides to leave the area. But involving Alice is the last thing Nick wants. He decides to part ways with her. At that moment, rain begins to pour down, enveloping Nick. Unable to suppress her emotions any longer, Alice finally confesses her feelings, and the two officially become a couple, deciding to go on the run together. With Alice's help, they board a train bound for Mexico. However, Martin has already discovered Alice's identity and has arranged for people to intercept them along the way. Unaware of this, Alice is captured while returning to the train car. She shouts desperately to warn Nick, but he is still shot in the leg. Before losing consciousness, Nick opens the train door and jumps off. In order to save Alice, he agrees to cooperate with Martin. After seeing his lover safely leave, Nick chooses to surrender and is tightly restrained by Martin's men. Furious, Martin walks up and punches him, but something seems off about Nick's scream. When Martin removes the bandages, he realizes he has been tricked. The taxi driver from earlier was actually Nick. Before they can celebrate, they're intercepted by Martin's men. Alice tells Nick to run while she stays behind to hold them off. As his identity is exposed, Nick quickly removes his outer clothing. However, he forgets that his head is still exposed. A headless figure is seen running through the crowd. Martin, who has just caught up, spots the nearly naked Nick and chases him closely. Nick sees a water truck by the roadside and rushes over to wash the paint off his face, then runs toward a construction site, but he accidentally trips, getting covered in dust. Martin continues chasing him, and the two eventually enter an elevator together, which slowly rises to the top floor. At this point, Nick is trapped, but Martin doesn't rush to act. When the elevator reaches the rooftop, Nick has nowhere left to go. Martin, not wanting to kill him outright, begins negotiating, offering various benefits in exchange for cooperation. However, Nick walks straight to the edge of the building. In reality, it's just a distraction. He stands off to the side holding his coat, expressing his pain and pretending he wants to end his life. Seeing this, Martin rushes forward, only to miss completely and fall off the building.